Welcome to Behave Yourself, the podcast that aims to bring the science of human behavior and how you can apply it to your own life and become the happiest, healthiest, and most successful version of you.
We're two behaviour analysts with backgrounds in personal training and nutrition who've struggled in the past with confidence, weight loss, breaking promises to ourselves, and constantly trying the quick fixes.
We bring the science and show you how to apply it confidently and consistently towards your own goals and how to actually create a lifestyle change.
Behaviour analysis is the science of human behaviour, and we all engage in behaviours that either move us towards the direction of our goals or hold us back from living the life we desire.
I'm one of your hosts, Emily McRae.
And I'm your other host, Jo Wesley. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's good. We're just like on a roll with recording and stuff. So I'm very energized right now and excited for this.
Yeah, good. How have you been behaving yourself this morning?
So this morning, I don't have as much time before our podcasting as you do during the day, but I had a training client and I did a few things on the podcast before, but after we podcast, I'll have my nice little nap and then lots of chores to come, picking up the house. Didn't do as much of like picking up at night this week since it was more of the holiday stuff. So my kitchen is not as clean as I would like it to be. So have some dishes to do, but
later.
Yeah, it's fine. How have you been behaving yourself today?
Very similar on a Sunday. I position my laptop really carefully on a Sunday so that if people are watching on YouTube, they can just see me and shelving behind me. But to my left and to my right is lots of laundry drying around me. So lots of laundry. I made a big batch of green soup for the week. I've started putting together some informational stuff like recipes and shopping lists and food plans for clients and just getting stuff done on a Sunday.
I love it. Love a good Sunday. Feels good. I've got lots of laundry to put away too. It's part of the list.
Yeah, it will get done at some point.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so last time we did some of the basics in movement and exercise, and today you're digging a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So today we're going to look at more of the kind of components of a workout, what types of workouts. So in the last episode, we talked more about the baseline and setting your own individual goals. So when you determine that you want to build muscle or tone your muscles, and you will not get bulky, I promise you. But when you look into doing that, there's a lot of different ideas out there, things that people are trying to sell, different programs. And really the basics are like there's resistance strength training, and then there's there's so many things that come into it, but essentially you're looking at strength. You're looking at progressively increasing the weight that is used to stimulate the muscles. That's all you're doing. You're not staying with the same 5-pound dumbbells day in and day out for years. That's not going to build muscle. So you're progressively over time increasing the load on what you're doing. And like I said before, you need the basics, you need the fundamentals, you need the mobility and the stability before you really start to add that load and that weight onto an exercise. But once you're in that phase and you're doing strength training, that's really where you start to add in dumbbells, barbells, machines, cables, those types of workout equipment programming. And one of the reasons why people want to work out is to tone and have that muscle definition. We talked about it with the sleeveless tanks and toning, but there's a really critical factor that Jo mentioned in the last episode of losing about 3% of your muscle definition. And so there's lots of different numbers that go into this. So there's some studies that show about an average of 10% of strength loss over 10 years. And this was used just based on one machine, one exercise, and not doing workouts. Women who are not strength training lose about 0.5 pound of muscle each year, according to another research, if you are not resistance strength training. And then this other component of losing about 3 pounds of muscle every 6 years. This was Westcott 2009, but that basic strength training program would about show about an increase of 3 pounds of muscle tissue growth in about 3 months in their study. So 3 pounds down in 6 years, or 3 pounds of muscle increased in their 3 month program. Again, very individual to the research studies, to the programs. We don't know the participants' lifestyles, genetics, anything like that. So that's take that all and all those numbers with a grain of salt. The overarching thematic concept with all these numbers is that if you are not strength training, you are going to be losing muscle. You are going to be losing strength over time. It is just what's going to happen. Your muscles are not going to continue to build or maintain. You're just going to lose it over time. And then that is going to lead to that weakness, all of this later in life challenges that we look at in terms of strength, in terms of independence, it's going to diminish. So if you see, we've got some grandmas out there that are really strong and fit and everything, but maybe they were athletes or they were somewhat into that life of, Pilates or working out and things like that. But there are people out there that never lifted a single weight or anything and really didn't do any of that. And you can see the effects of not lifting weights over several years and how that affects your muscle mass and your strength over time. So
One
if
of
you
my
need
favorite
one reason.
Sorry, one of my favorite stories that you've told is the lady that you train who is also a grandma who wants to
Mm,
do the monkey bars with her grandson. And that's
yeah.
just the image of her doing that is just so wonderful, isn't it? Rather than the
I know.
grandma that has to sit on the bench and just say, "Oh, you go play,
Yeah.
darling. Be by yourself."
Yeah. Like they want to be able to chase after their grandkids, to go on the monkey bars, and maybe they do one or two and then they hop down or something, but at least like it's that interaction and it's that ability to participate. It's that ability. Oh, I should have sent this to you, but there's this really beautiful, and I posted it on my Facebook, but this really beautiful commercial. And it's this grandpa that he's got this giant kettlebell. Like, I don't know how much this kettlebell weighs, but it's giant. And he is dragging it like 5 feet and then stops. And it progresses over time. And it shows this progression of him working on this every single day. And the neighbors are looking at him like he's absolutely crazy. And then all of a sudden he starts to lift it and then drops it and then lifts it up and pushes it a little bit. So all of these movement patterns and building up this strength progressively over time. He used the same weight. I probably wouldn't recommend to do it the way he did it, but the general concept is there that and then he wanted to, and if you're watching this on YouTube, he wanted to lift it up to his chest height and then push it out and in front of him, which was an interesting movement pattern that I wasn't entirely sure. It wasn't a chest press or that he was laying, he was standing and pushing it kind of at a diagonal. And I was so curious about this. And it progresses again. Everyone thinks he's crazy. And then he goes for Christmas Eve at what I'm assuming is his daughter's house. And he goes to his granddaughter and gives her a present, and it's the star. And he's able to lift her. I'm literally going to cry saying this. He's able to lift her up, push her up towards the top of the tree. And then she puts the star on top of the tree.
Oh,
Literally, though. So, it's that function. And so he needed to build that muscle. I know we're literally like in tears, but it really is this functional way that he wanted to build up strength so that he could literally lift his granddaughter up to put the star on the tree. Why else would he be doing that? But everyone thought he was crazy. So don't care about the people who think you're crazy because they don't know your reasons why you're doing X, Y, and Z, why you're working out. You don't know why that girl is at the gym working out 6 days a week. You don't know why this person, I just met a woman who I learned out, I was wondering why she was there for about 2.5 hours every single day. That's her refuge for a very personal reason that she shared with me that I had no idea. I was like, wow, she's here literally every day for like 2.5 hours. Now I know why, but I didn't know that. So you don't know why people are training the way that they're training, and they have a specific purpose and a reason. So on that note,
breathe.
but I think it's really important to put that into perspective that we're not just lifting weights to pick things up and put them down.
Mm-mm.
There are purposes and there are reasons, and there should be this purpose and this reason behind why you're doing the strength program that you're doing. Wow, this ties in perfectly. So, when you're doing a progressive strength program, there should be progression. There should be thought and cycles and reasons why you're increasing load or increasing reps. It shouldn't be this like super variable every single time something's different way of training. So if you're going and you're just picking a different YouTube workout video every time, yes, you're going to move, but are you going to be working towards a specific goal, or is it just to move, which is fine. That's not to say that, like, I'm not bashing picking a workout and doing it, because you're moving your body and you're still lifting, and that's where some people start, and that is where I want you to be, just moving. But if you have a goal of picking up your grandchild and putting the thing on the tree, there's going to be specific movement patterns. You're going to have to be able to squat, lift them up your chest, and push them away from your body. So there's going to be specific things. Whereas a guide or something may be progressive, but is it working towards your specific goals, your body's needs, the way that your body mechanics work? So,
Particularly over lockdown with people trying to work out from home. There's been so many on Instagram and whatnot, or Facebook, of trainers doing these fancy, very, very interesting, fun looking workouts of all sorts of weird and wacky moves. And I'm
mm-mm,
pretty sure Emily's going to confirm that's not how these trainers train. Like,
mm-mm,
they might do the headstand, handstand, compound, fancy movements on Instagram for a fun workout. They get their muscles by doing deadlifts, squats, presses, day in, day out, really
mm.
boring stuff, and like probably fairly medium weights at a really slow tempo. They don't do these fancy swinging upside down on a bar moves, because that's not what gets them the results.
Right. And I think that's the thing, is like, it's, and the thing just circulated on Instagram a lot of, if you're working out over your lifetime, you're going to do the same 10 to 15 to maybe 20 different exercises for the rest of your life. Like, there is nothing revolutionary about movement patterns at all. They're all the same across all workout programs. You can do different combinations, different variations. That's cool and all, but it's all the same principles. And you can just do the basics, and that's still going to be okay. You can just do a deadlift and just do a row and a pull motion. You don't have to get super fancy. It doesn't have to be. And it's really, again, like Joe said, not what these people are doing to increase their strength. They're doing a squat, they're doing a deadlift, they're doing a push up. It's nothing revolutionarily different than what you should be doing. Maybe they're doing higher weights or more sets, but in general, they're not doing anything dramatically different.
And most trainers, I think, if they're changing your workout program every week, couple of weeks, they're doing it so you don't get bored. They're not doing because it
Mm-hmm.
has any functional benefit, I would say.
Yeah. And I have some clients who really, really like doing the same thing every week. So I literally just change either their weight or their reps. And it's called double progression. So you change you do it to an increase of reps. You stay at that same weight at 10 reps, and then you do it till they can do 15. And then you would increase it by about 5% of that weight at that many reps. And then play around with those progressions. So I have some people who want to do the same thing every single week because that's how they learn, and they like learning that pattern.
Mhm.
And sometimes we'll do different variations of those same set of exercises. But I have some clients who want something different because they get way too, and some of them don't remember that they've done the same thing every week. But some of them want a variation. So, okay, we're going to do a lunge, but some weeks it's going to be static where you stay there and you just go up and down, or we're going to do alternating, or we're going to do step up, step back. There's different, but you're still just doing a lunge. There's nothing different really about it, other than we're just switching the way that you're doing it, or switching where your weight is held either at your shoulders or down by your side, but it's still a lunge. So
And your muscles don't really know any different.
no, they really don't. So, and that kind of does bring into this concept of doing progression, doing a workout with progression. So you want it to really be able to grow with you. And you're not always going to, again, you're not going to do the same thing for the rest of your life. It's going to change. You're going to go through these cycles. And it's the way that trainers will program out a program for you of this big goal of, 6 months, and then break it down into these like months of like 3 month cycle, and then a 1 month cycle, and then based on your weeks, how it's broken down. So it really is a different way than doing it's all based upon you and your specific movement patterns. So all my clients might have lunges in their program, but they're all going to be like slightly different. Some people need modifications. Some people need to hold on to something. Some people can have a weight over their head, but it's all based on their specific goals. Versus if you buy a PDF or a guide, it's going to be those same components, and it may be progressive, and that's awesome, but it's not going to be specific to you. And that's really where the big difference comes in, is like, you don't know. Joe and I were looking at the range of motion of her shoulder and the stability of it for a headstand. If that's her goal, then we're going to work on range of motion and stability and flexibility of that joint. And so then we can improve and progress that. But again, it's not individual. And that's what we look at, is there are general ways of doing this, and then there are very individualized ways of training. All right.
Nice.
How are you feeling? Good.
So I don't know if this is a good time to talk about this.
Mhm.
I guess people could be paying for a trainer or paying for a course or whatnot to get that progressive overload.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that someone is just working out from home, maybe has weights, maybe doesn't have weight. How could they then make sure that they are progressing and progressively overloading, maybe without weights or maybe with weights, but like, how would they plan for that themselves?
Yeah. So, kind of like I said before, and you can do this, anybody could figure this out, right? Trainers have more in depth information of the muscles and the movement patterns, but really you can look at this as, okay, if you find a YouTube video that does an upper body, a lower body, and a full body, and you take it and it has 10 sets or 10 reps 3 times through, you can increase the amount of reps or the amount of times you do the exercise and start with that, and just increase the amount of reps that you do. If you just have one dumbbell, you're really just increasing the reps. But you can also play around with what's called like tempo or speed, and do 3 counts up in a bicep curl and 1 count down, or 1 count up, 3 counts to lower. And you start controlling those muscles, and it's called time under tension. So you spend more time contracting those muscles, which if you only have light weights, which I have many clients right now who are at home and only have light weights, they're still getting really good workouts in, because we're playing around with that tempo or that time that they're spending in an exercise. So holding a squat and pulsing with those weights versus just up and down, fast moving. If you have multiple sets of weights, you can progressively increase, roughly, I would say 5%. I wouldn't go much more than that. So staying small in your progressions. Like, you don't need to jump from 10 to 20 pounds. Like, that's a huge jump in dumbbells. And if those are the only two you have, very specifically going about it and progressing and getting enough where you're doing 20 reps with your 10 pounds, but then you take your 20s and you're only doing 10 reps. So it's the same amount of volume. There's math. You got to use math, but there's the same amount of volume in that same exercise if you're doing 20 reps with 10 pounds or 10 reps with 20 pounds.
Right.
So, yeah.
Nice.
And as always, like, there's different ways. So some people will do different, like, circuit training is my kind of niche, and how I train myself and how I train my clients, of doing multiple, especially when you have a time constraint. You don't have to sit and wait in between sets of chest press when you can go do a squat or a push or a pull. You'll see some of the like people in the gym sitting around on a machine waiting. They're doing, I know Joe's shaking her head. She's like, I don't have time for that.
I don't have time.
I know. And that is the thing. It takes a lot of time, and you're doing higher weights, lower reps and more sets, and you have a lot of rest time in between. You have probably a minute and a half to 2 minutes in between each exercise, which to me is painfully boring. And I don't want to do it. So that's why I do circuit training. But for some people, that's what they love to do. And they do multiple, like we're looking at 4 to 6 sets of maybe 3 reps, but it's at a much higher weight versus 3 sets at 10 reps at a lower weight.
Right. But
So
I work out from home and I just don't have the reason why
yeah.
I roll my eyes and like do what I do is because I don't have those heavy weights. I would love to actually
Mhm.
see like what could I deadlift and what could I squat. I think I
Oh yeah.
squat, but I'll never know because I don't have those at home and I'm not going to be going to a gym right now.
Right. Right. Yeah, and it's what you have available. So if where you're at is you just have a few dumbbells at home or nothing, you can still get in exercise. Like your body weight is still your body weight and it still can make for challenging. You can also go fill up a bag of rocks. Like you've probably got rocks around or a bag of sand. You can make your own weights. It's just going to be getting crafty. And we've all done it. You can put a backpack and load it full of books or soup cans and make weights like that. Trust me, quarantine has created a lot of different ways to make weight to add to a workout or use a child's. Children children work really well for weights for many people. So,
For sure.
yeah. So, that's what I've got for kind of strength, resistance, muscle building. You will not get bulky if you lift weights. I can promise you. I don't promise many things in fitness, but I can promise you that one. Unless you're really, really, really trying and that's your ultimate goal, in which case, sure, we can get you there. But for the general population of people who just want to be active, you're not going to get bulky.
And just so many other benefits, like you were
Yeah.
saying, whether it's a granddad lifting a child up to a star or being able to wipe your own backside when you're a granny.
I love your example.
Yeah, but there's
It's
loads of
true though.
examples. Like I was reading about in the newspaper about a policewoman who has been working on her own health and fitness for years, but she managed to deadlift a fully grown adult, like a man, off the train tracks and get him onto the platform. She wouldn't have been able to do that and she was doing her job. She's a policewoman, that's her job, but she wouldn't have been able to do that had she not been strength training for years. Like, does she go into the gym and deadlift 200 pounds daily? Probably not. But because she does go into the gym and do other kinds of kind of, as Emily would say, progressive overload, I've now got a new word. That's like she could then help that man.
Yeah. And that's a really good point of like she's not going in there deadlifting it with the purpose of lifting a man off of the train tracks, but her muscles had that, and we call this like, I mean, people say, but muscle memory. Your muscles have that ability to do it. And then she probably did it in a way that was safe and probably didn't throw out her back doing it. Like her body just probably went into that form and set it up. And she didn't even have to think about it. She just did it and lifted him. And that was how her body responded. So that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, she sounds like a pretty
Cool.
awesome woman. Okay, perfect. We have one more movement series next time,
Mhm.
which is all going to be about
How to lose weight while you're working out and kind of that fat loss. Well, not weight loss. Joe very clearly pointed out fat loss, but looking at if you're looking to lose weight, if this is your New Year's resolution or your goal or something you've been working on for years, what kind of components go into fat loss and can you spot reduce? Mm-mm.
we'll
Nope.
find out next time.
But you'll find out more about that next time. So
Perfect. All right. We'll
awesome.
see you. No, we won't. We've got things to say before. Where can they
I was going to say.
find us on Instagram at behaveyourselfpod? You can find Emily on Instagram at emily.a.mccrae. You can find me on Instagram at the behavior lady. You can email us at behaveyourselfpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And you
Or
can
you can come join our Facebook group.
got it.
Yeah.
Quick disclaimer, we're both behavior analysts and qualified in our respective fields, but this podcast is for education and information sharing only and shouldn't be taken as personal, medical, or behavioral advice or services.
Perfect.
As
Yeah,
always,
make
we've had
sure
loads of lovely messages from people, particularly in
yes.
our DMs and private messages saying how helpful they found this podcast and how much they're enjoying it. That's lovely. And we love receiving those messages, but please just copy and paste them and give us a review. When we have 10 reviews on Apple or any other platform that we can work it out on, we will pick a name out of the hat, and that person can choose to either have half an hour with me, half an hour with Emily, or half an hour with both of us on Zoom, talking about whatever you like, whether it's your goals and advice or just talking to us as buddies.
Yeah. I'm excited for it when it happens. So I really want people
It's
to leave
definitely going to be
reviews.
my mum.
I'll chat with her. We'll
Our
just have a
biggest
whole
fan.
chat.
Yeah, she would love that. Okay,
Yeah.
super. See you next time.
Wonderful. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.